Hey everyone, JC here. So today I'm gonna talk about porn. This I've been actually meaning to do this video for quite a while, but there was a kind of trigger yesterday. One of my friends wrote a post about it, and it just reminded me that a lot of people have a lot of questions about porn because there's many elements that go into it, right? So I think first we have to define what porn is, and that's actually very tricky. Porn for me is an umbrella term which includes a bunch of elements. And so, for example, it basically breaks down into two categories. There's probably more, but I'll just do the main two because that's really the main two. The first one is like sexual category, and the other one is not sexual. Of course, like in the sexual part, you have things like blowjob and pussy penetration, anal, double penetration, um, that kind of stuff. In the non-sexual stuff, well, you got kind of naked modeling. Um, okay, like some, you know, young woman spreading her pussy or something like that, that kind of stuff. So there's no penetration, there's no sex act, but the nature is definitely sexual. Like you're absolutely using your body, not in I know these people will argue that they use it in an artistic way as well, but really it's just sexual way, and clearly you get paid money to show off your genitals, and that's not the same as art, not the same, quite not quite the same thing. I'll show you one example here. So here we go. I hope it doesn't get censored. It shouldn't be. There's really nothing to say here. So this is a model. Her name is Koto Shizuku, a Japanese model. So again, if you look at the picture, uh, this is what I'm saying. This is just a soft porn. She has naked photos as well, and I'm sure a lot of people are gonna Google it right away, which is fine. Whatever, go have a look. I did. So again, but this particular picture though, she's just doing a kind of these kind of poses. You see that in dance class, for example. So right, just kind of stretching. She's not naked. She's not spreading her vagina or ass or whatever. So you could, just by looking at that picture alone, you could say, well, okay, that is not porn, and you would be most likely correct. Because if you just look at it as a standalone picture, it's just modeling, right? So yeah, I think also for me, I was thinking of how to phrase it last night, and really, I think if you look at the past, right, when I was growing up, like in the 80s and the 90s, there were, of course, there are still today as well, but back in my days, I'm not even that old. I'm 38, and I already use things like my days. But that's true. That's sad. There were models, like super top models, like Naomi Campbell, Claudia Schiffer, and others. And as Naomi Campbell, I have issues with her. Uh, Definitely, she was a bit of a liar, or maybe very much a liar. There was a very famous scandal with her when uh, she made a clip protesting fur, right? Because they use fur in fashion shows and whatever, and that was not good. So they made this very. It was a very powerful commercial, by the way, where they wear these. Of course, it was a lot of kind of CG effects and stuff like that. They wear the jackets, and there's like just blood that splatters everywhere, right? So because it's the blood of those animals that went into making these fur jackets and whatnot. So she did that, and then later, I don't know how, a few years later, she made ads where she was wearing fur, animal fur, real animal fur. So not okay in my book, not okay. But Claudia Schiffer, as far as I know, she was not really involved in any of these type of scandals. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, post articles in the comment section. She was kind of the definition of what glamorous means. Was a certain level of etiquette, and really for me, like women like her was really the last generation of that ilk, that level of models. These days, if you even say the word model, it's already a super diluted term because a lot of, if you go to webcam sites, which I'll talk about in a second, webcam models, right? We call them models, but they don't do modeling. They just do fucking. So, but we call them models. So I disagree with the modern usage of the word. It really reduces. It really kind of demeans the meaning for real models, people who do it for a living. So yeah, talking about webcam sites, right? OnlyFans, there is Chatterbait, there is My Free Cams. My Free Cams is terrible, by the way, lately. I don't know. Again, I was on it like a decade ago, and I honestly thought that website is dead. They changed my password, etc. So I didn't log in there for a very long time. I was curious recently, so I did restore my password just to have a look at what's there. And there's really not much there. You look at Asian models, and there's barely any. There's like maybe 10 people. North American, there are still a few doing it, but I don't know the conditions of my free cabs. It could be very kind of bad. They could take a big cut from the tips because it's tip based. It's not salary based. It's not like every month they give you a check. I mean, you have to earn that. You earn that with tips, and I'll talk about that in a second, a bit more detail, the tip system. So yeah, let's use, I don't know. So why? Okay, so a lot of like women, they have this question, right? So for example, they're married, they could be married. They look around, other guys, married guys as well, and they are, well, you would hope that they have some kind of intimate relationship with their wives, but they, come on, let's be honest. Be honest, guys. We all have a stash of porn somewhere. If we don't have a stash, we definitely kind of check out the websites, right? At least that kind of history doesn't really stay on the machine too long. So yeah, I think a lot of men do that. I think if seriously, if it is possible, of course, that some men don't, but I think a lot of men who do it and then say they don't, they're just liars. So right from the get go, they're not honest. And there's kind of a good reason for that, actually, because sex is still a taboo topic in some respects. Obviously, yes, compared to, let's say, 200 years ago, definitely it's more open now, but it's still relatively taboo subject. And for example, if you go out with friends, you go to a restaurant, you're not gonna like eat your food and suddenly say, hey, like last night, me and my wife, we had a great 69. Like, no, nobody, for some people do that. I'm sure some people do that. Some people who are very open with their sexuality. And I like to think that I'm open with my sexuality, but it would still be very awkward to bring that up at some kind of a public event. It's not embarrassing, but it's just, I think it's embarrassing for the other people to hear about it. That's the difference. So it's not embarrassing if I say something like that, but it would be kind of awkward for the other person to hear about it. It's like, well, how do you respond? Great, good job, good going. Like, what do you answer? What do you how do you respond? So yeah, taboo, kind of taboo subject still, unfortunately. Definitely in some countries it's worse than others, and that's unfortunate. If you go to the Middle East somewhere in Saudi Arabia, like I'm sure it's bad there. Um, Coming back to the websites, to the cam websites, right? Uh, these people, uh, it's really kind of hard to, because I'm not in their shoes, and they're not there to defend themselves against anything I say. But I still find it interesting. So, for example, you have, let's say, a young guy and a young girl, and they decide, at the age of 20, that they're gonna do webcamming, and they're gonna fuck uh, for a salary. That's gonna be their main job. It's gonna be their main source of income. And you have to remember that again. Sure, you can wear a mask, you can wear a wig, you can. Um, I've seen like people wearing just a regular kind of surgical mask just to cover the nose down, so it's hard to recognize the face later. It's fair enough, but there are people who most people actually don't care about that stuff at all. It seems, and they're open. You can see their faces. You know who they are. Um, and you see their sexual acts, the girl sucking cock, etc. It's on camera, it's on the internet, like, so it's gonna people are gonna see that. And and if I'm not sure, but I don't think these people think too far ahead, because first of all, it might be cool now, it might be a kind of hip thing to do now. But you never know what's going to happen to your health, first of all. And I know you can't live really in fear of, well, tomorrow I might have like this huge whatever, and it's going to prevent me from doing this. You can't live in fear like that. But you do have to consider certain aspects like that. So yeah, you could break up with that person, and then what do you do? Again, if you apply for a regular job, obviously you can't mention that on your resume, because that's just unacceptable in any profession, really. And and also they're going to ask you questions if they see that you don't have any work experience, but somehow you made it to the age of 30, let's say. They're going to ask questions like, how did you, like, what did you do, like, this is strange, right? You have to explain. So what do? You lie? You're gonna lie about it? Probably. They probably lie about it. And yeah. So the webcam websites. By the way, porn. That's an important point I wanted to make. I'm pretty sure, like the research I've seen, the surveys I've seen, mostly it's men watching it. Okay, so like it's overwhelmingly men. It's like 85% or 90% men audience. So, and of course the others are women. Most there's trans, etc. But mostly it's like that. And these days it's extremely skewed towards women. So again, if you're a woman, if you look decent, let's say, you can definitely have a big audience. You can get enough tips, and you can do well. The same, though, cannot be said for a guy. I'm sorry to say that like that, but it's true that in almost every case, nobody wants to see a naked guy anymore. Okay, that's just the way it is. Even women who are like, okay, yeah, uh, I want to get some nudity on. I want to see some nudes. Very high chances that they're gonna go and watch other women strip down and touch their pussies or whatever, rub their uh, boobs. Now, I know you can say that these are kind of lesbians, but I know that is not the case. I know that it's not just lesbians doing that, it's also straight women doing that. Nobody really wants to see guys anymore. So, yeah, guys not really in fashion these days. And that's probably something that's a topic for another day, perhaps. The tip system. So, again, you rely on an audience, mostly men, and a lot of this is what I find very strange. Some models, they just kind of sit there and do absolutely nothing. They're like clothed, and they don't do dancing, they don't do any kind of erotic poses, nothing. They just sit there and they chat with people, and I I get it. I get that's a thing, but I also think that probably these should be separated from these type of websites. There should be websites where people just go to chat, you know, uh, and there should be websites where definitely some kind of nudity is involved. So yeah, I would do that. Uh, the people who just chat, they really don't get a lot of tips, I have to say. Well, it's obvious because people are there to see tits, to see ass, to see pussy. And if they don't see that, then what exactly are you tipping for? Are you just tipping for the pretty face? Usually that's not enough. So, yeah, tips go well with nudity. And of course, it depends what you do. It really depends what you do, actually. If you just stand around, even if you're naked, if you just stand around and do nothing, you might get a few tips here and there, but really it's not great at all. So you have to do stuff. You have to masturbate, or you have to. Dancing is fine, okay? Dancing is fine. Showing legs, showing feet, spreading pussy, whatever. That's good. That gets tips. If you're a couple, definitely you're gonna get even more tips because yeah, it's fine to do with the dildo and whatnot, but if people prefer to watch fucking, so definitely that gets more tips. And yeah, so that's kind of the tip system on these cam websites. There's a lot of them out there. I just mentioned a few, but there's tons of them out there. I know OnlyFans. I think it needs some kind of registration, and I don't have it myself, so I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. Probably registration, and probably you need to actually kind of register with certain models, so you may have to pay in advance, which I not a big fan of. Other websites like Chatterbait is you can register for free. You get a free basic account. A lot of the time you can't even chat because chatting is reserved to people who have tokens, and you can buy these tokens. Once you get tokens, you become a premium member, and then you can chat to people. You can also PM people. Uh, but again, remember with PMs, it's very strange because you are using that person's time. Like they could be making tips, but instead of doing that, they're chatting to you. So that's not great. So don't do that unless you're planning on taking them private, or yeah, just tipping them from time to time. That's good enough to show some kind of intent. So that's the webcams industry in a nutshell. But okay, just coming back to porn in general, yeah, so I agree with the surveys. I'm pretty sure that yeah, definitely it's mostly men watching it. But these days I do see a lot of women who are straight women, not lesbians, but they also prefer, like, you know if they have a choice to watch camera of a guy and a girl, uh, chances are they're gonna go for the girl. And yeah, I don't know. I think people are changing, tastes are changing, views are changing. So right now, I yeah, men are not in fashion. Let's say it's really not nothing to look at, so to speak. I mean, I think men also did themselves no favors by just being absolute pigs in general, online especially. Just chatting up random women on the internet and sending them dick pics. What kind of example are you setting? Like, these kind of guys, by the way, there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of them out there. These guys give us, the good guys, the better guys, a very, very bad image. And it's an image which is hard to wash away, because if I start to chat to some woman, they have a kind of they're very cautious about approaching people, because they think, oh, dick pic is probably coming, just it's just around the corner, right? So yeah, that's very unfortunate. That is not my fault. I don't do that, but there are men who do that, and they give us a bad image. That's the fact. All right, and so uh, porn. So the final thing I see is, okay. So if you're watching porn, what is the point? Well, the point is, it's kind of hard to explain, but you can make the argument that it's just sexuality at the end of the day. We are attracted, at least physically, because love is not just physical, it's also mental, etc. But yeah, we are attracted physically to many people, right? So we actually, it's kind of built into nature that we want to see more people in that kind of sexual way. Nothing wrong with that. It's just the way we're built. You could resist that, but then if you do resist that, you become like a Catholic priest, pretty much, right? So you you practice chastity, the vow of chastity and whatnot. You don't want to do that, because we know what happens to them. If you repress your sexuality, it later comes out in very, very ugly forms indeed, right? So you don't want to repress it. But on the other hand, you don't want to go to the other extreme and be this kind of overly sexual, like alpha male type. And okay, so during porn, you're watching porn. What do you do? Well, most of the time, obviously, you're watching. Uh, is it about masturbation? Well, it obviously, yeah. Most of the time, it is. It's definitely in part of the equation, but it's not always part of the equation. You don't always do that. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure there are guys who do that all the time, but it really depends on the person. So I would say, just to kind of conclude this video, I would say, instead of generalizing people and just saying, oh, men are all pigs, they're all the same, they just want to send their dick pics to random women on the internet, just don't do that. Just don't. Uh, Try to, just talk to people. Like I said, probably in most guys watch porn one way or another. So that's a kind of the default state. And now the point is, what do you want to do with that information? Okay, so you know it's happening. Um, because I really do believe that porn is an addiction. You can get addicted to porn, and you can become really weird in many ways. And it can impact your real life. It can impact your real love life. So definitely watch out for that. So yeah, I do believe porn is an addiction. And so if you have a partner, you have to be just honest about it. You have to say, okay, yeah, I'm watching porn. Even if we're together, chances are I'm still going to watch porn from time to time. But yeah, this is just a release. This is nothing, I'm not getting involved with these people. I don't love these people. It's just a physical thing, and that's all it should be. I don't know. That's my opinion. I know it's like I said, it's taboo subject for many, but I just hope to. I hope I shed light on it a little bit more. If you have comments, please share it below. Let's see what people think, because I'm always curious to know what people think, how people think, and why they think these ways. That's it for now. I'll make a lot more videos in the future. I make videos in the future already anyway. Lots of videos, gaming videos as well, lots of stuff, singing, etc. So stay safe, take care, and I'll see you around.